you may or may not have watched our 8-hour election special. If you did, my apologies. It was a long night. I hope you weren't as knackered as we were by the end of it. I also hope you weren't as confused as we were going into the end of the night, because even allowing for Joe Biden to have a massive amount of postal votes in advance of Donald Trump, like 60% of them, the lion's share of them, we didn't think he'd have 80 or 90% and end up winning like that. It looked a lot worse when we finished the show. So since then, what's happened? Well, if you'd have paid attention a few years ago, you will have seen in 2016 that when he had the grab him by the pussy tape released, he was pretty low in the polls before Comey started to investigate Hillary Clinton. So he thought he was going to lose. It was inevitable. So he spread the rumour of, well, if I don't win, it's because it's all fixed, it's all rigged, it's all that. So we've already seen this. And then obviously when he won, it wasn't. It was the most fair election that he's ever run. And he's pulled the same thing. And as you know, it's dragging on now. Maybe we can have a look at a clip and then discuss what's happened over the last few days.
Overnight in Michigan, there seems to be this back and forth over certifying election results in a major county there. What more can you tell us about that?
Well, Craig, it was a dramatic night in Michigan. Here's what happened. 2 Republican county officials in Michigan's largest county, which includes Detroit, refused to certify the election results in that county. 2 Republican county officials, and that prompted a backlash from voters who accused those officials of essentially trying to disenfranchise them. So the Republican officials reversed course by the end of the night, just a short time after their initial move. So those results are going to be certified. They are going to move forward. But President Trump was watching all of this. He was tweeting. He called the stalemate a, quote, beautiful thing. Michigan's Secretary of State, a Democrat, though, said there were no irregularities and no evidence of widespread fraud. So essentially debunking the initial reason that those Republican county officials were blocking the results in the first place. Bottom line here, Craig, even if that stalemate had continued in that county, it's very unlikely it would have reversed the results of Michigan, a state that President-elect Biden won by more than 148,000 votes.
We move to Georgia now, where there are far more questions than answers regarding that phone call between Lindsey Graham and Georgia's Republican Secretary of State. It turns out there was a witness to the call. A top election official to Secretary Brad Raffensperger was also on the call and agreed. It sounded like the South Carolina senator was suggesting throwing out absentee ballots.
What I heard was basically discussions about absentee ballots, and if there was a percentage of signatures that weren't really truly matching, is there some point where you could get to where you could say, if somebody went to a courtroom, could say, we'll throw out all these ballots because we have no way of knowing because the ballots are separated. And that was partially what was going on. I could see how Senator Graham viewed it one way and Secretary Raffensperger viewed it one way. But, you know, our job in this state is to follow the law and follow the process. And that's what we continue to do.
When Graham was asked about the call yesterday, he said it was ridiculous. He asked Georgia officials to throw out ballots. He then said he talked to secretaries of states in Arizona and Nevada about their elections as well. Only that never happened. Both came out and said they never spoke with the senator. Eventually,
so Lindsey,
good Lord, this is bad.
So Lindsey was actually lying to try to cover his tracks after he had been accused by a Republican Secretary of State of trying to get him to throw out legal ballots.
Eventually, Graham revealed he'd actually talked to Arizona's governor and hadn't actually spoken to anyone in Nevada. Wow, this is even bad for
lying all around.
Let's bring in national political reporter for NBC News, Josh Letterman, who's been covering this story. Josh, what can you add?
Well, there could not be a worse time, Mika, for Republicans in Georgia to be going to war with themselves, with the path to control of the Senate running right through Georgia over the next 2 months. But that's exactly what seems to be happening here. I spent the last several days in Georgia where the Republican Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, said that he's been pushed up against a wall by his fellow Republicans, making these baseless claims about systemic fraud and problems in the Georgia election that just don't exist. It's come from President Trump. It's come from both of the Republican senators, David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler, and it's come from Doug Collins, the congressman who's been leading the president's recount effort there. Then came word of this phone call from Lindsey Graham, who, reminder, is not a senator from Georgia. He's from a different state. Unclear why he was even calling the Secretary of State there. But the Secretary of State, a Republican who told me he voted straight down and up the ballot for Republicans this year and every year, saying he did feel pressure from Lindsey Graham to try to find as many ways as possible, basically, to get rid of legally cast ballots.
So there you have it. Donald Trump has made good. Like I say, he could be one of the most honest politicians that you've ever had in office. The guy said he was going to do a load of really bad things if he got made president. He would stop immigration. He'd do lots and lots of really awful things. And yeah, you've had kids in cages. You've had everything. He said he was going to contest the election if he lost, because he would think that it was rigged, or he'd certainly be lying to the point where everyone would believe it was rigged. And yes, he's gone for it. He's really gone for it. Unfortunately, as credibility as eroded, he's ended up with no lawyers now. He's literally got Rudy Giuliani. Not one person is representing him now from a law firm. Rudy Giuliani. Now, I've got to say the worst aspect of this has got to be that you've got the two. Don't get me wrong, in Michigan, he managed to get two Republicans who, again, I think we're getting to the point where we're aware Republicans in America are only bothered about power. They're not bothered about decency. They're not bothered about doing the right thing or helping people. So they went along with it until they got a backlash, and then they reversed that and in Michigan certified the vote. Lindsey Graham is denying that he got involved, but he was trying to get rid of an area's votes that were 80% black.
No more needs to be said.
It's just down to that. I mean, you think, well, in America, you're moving on, and this is a separate issue to race, or civil rights, whatever. But it isn't, because, again, votes have always been from Jim Crow to now. There's always been white people trying to stop black people from voting and exercising their rights, because they know damn well that it might end up with black and white people being equal.
Here's a strange question for you, Mike.
Go on.
Why is it? I mean, we portray in general that the right wing are bad, are baddies of the world. They're the baddies.
I try not to, but
and the ultra left wing,
yeah,
like the ultra right wing, they're the baddies. You know, communist parties, blah blah blah, China. You know, why is it that way? Why is it? Why is it certain right wings across the world think certain ways? Why are most right wing organisations racist? Why?
I'll be honest. It's because the policies that are needed to succeed in the right wing are always the type of policies that don't need people with very low incomes, and that is unfortunately because of society being structured the way it is in America, and certainly here even. If you are an ethnic minority or black or in any way not white, you know, if you're not just the norm, what used to be the norm, or the highest percentile of the population, that that is a problem if they get power, because they can bring you down. Poor people can bring rich people down, and most usually right-wing policies which believe in small government, low taxation, and more independence are rich people, because in that environment rich people can thrive and poor people drown, and that's always the way it's been.
So it's a little bit like monarchy used to be in the United Kingdom.
Correct. The old school.
Yeah.
That's it.
So we started it off in many ways.
I don't deny that. I think that we started an awful lot of this off, and I'll say something though. America hasn't half taken the ball and run with it. I mean, this situation you've got over there right now is ludicrous. It's never happened before. You've never had an election other than the Al Gore one that everybody's shouting about. The right wing are saying, well, you were going to court over Al Gore. My God, that was a handful of votes. There were hundreds and hundreds of votes. That's it. Not thousands, not tens of thousands, separating Al Gore from George Bush. And it was one state in play. One state, Florida. And there was tiny margin. And you had to make sure. And it was rumoured they were uncounted ballots. A rumour. So let's do that. That's one state. He has lost by at least clearly 4 states, if not more than that. The swing states that went against him, he's massively ahead. No recount can put that right.
I'm bored with it. I'm absolutely bored with it.
Everyone is.
I'm bored of it. I'm bored of Trump going on about it's fixed, it's blah, 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 it's this. I'm just bored.
Yeah, but they believe in it. When you get bored, you see, you don't fight it. And they're still going to shout, you're bored, you be quiet, because you're fed up of arguing with it, because you know it's nonsense. But when you stop defending it and going, oh, it's not, there's nothing to this rumour, it's all nonsense, they've won, because they will carry on, and they will carry on with this forever. You will be going into the next election in 2024 with Republicans referring to, well, we all know what happened last time.
The glory days.
They'll refer to the 2020 election as the one that Biden stole.
Well,
you know they will. You know they will.
Thank you for watching. I'm impressed. You've passed the IQ test and got this far, so let's press that button. Let's do the last thing that helps us. It's got subscribe on it, you can't miss it, and please ring the bell for notifications of future videos.